Hello ladies and gentlemen, GamingMedley here, and you are watching my series Everything You Need to Know, a series where I give you a medley of information regarding an upcoming video game title, expansion, or DLC, so that you can make an informed purchasing decision regarding the product in question. Today we are looking at Destiny, the Taken King. So, the Taken King is Destiny's third expansion, and it follows The Dark Below and House of Wolves, released in December 2014 and May 2015, respectively. It aims to be the game's most story in-depth and most story-emphatic expansion, and also aims to introduce a variety of new and interesting gameplay mechanics into the game. Now, we don't know too much about the story, but I will tell you what we do have, which is basically just a premise. The story centers around Oryx, the mysterious god king of the Hive, and his quest for revenge after the Guardians killed his son Crota in the expansion The Dark Below. To facilitate this invasion effort, he has brought a massive dreadnought into the solar system, as well as his new and personal army, the Taken, which is comprised of various enemy races that have been warped by the power of the darkness into becoming Oryx's slaves. This game's story also intends to expand upon the Darkness, the Cable, and the Nine, and for those of you who need a quick recap, the Darkness are kind of this corruptive force that aims to take out the immortal travelers. The Cable is a rhinoceros-like race of militaristic beings, and the Nine are just kind of this amalgamation. Nobody really knows what they are, but they are an enigmatic ruling force of their own city. So it should be interesting to see what Bungie actually does in terms of the story. We know that a lot of story was cut from the initial release of Destiny. It would be interesting if they just took the stuff that was cut and threw it into this expansion to make it as story heavy as it is supposedly going to be. We know it features over 8 new story missions, really over 10, but at least 3 of those will be revolved around unlocking your new subclass for your new Guardian superclass, which is what I will be talking about right now. For Titan players, you will unlock the Sunbreaker and the super ability, the Hammer of Saul, which lets you create a giant flaming hammer. It's cool. It's cool. You'll want it. For the Hunter, you get to unlock the Nightstalker class, which gives you the Shadow Shot super ability, which I believe is this kind of bow type thing you whip out, and it's cool and awesome. And for the Warlocks, you are going to unlock the Stormcaller class, as well as the super ability Storm Trance, which lets you fuck with the electricity to fuck up your enemies. The new level cap is 40, and leveling is being switched from light armor acquisition to just pure XP. So people probably have questions about this, and probably the most important question you have is, if I have like say a level 25 character, but I have light tiered armor that would make me effectively like level 32, will I be starting this game out at level 25 or level 32? The answer is level 32. All your light tier armor will just be converted into experience points, so your character will start at whatever their light tier armor level is at. However, if your character is just naturally a level 31, they will still remain at level 31. In terms of loot, we know that there will be class-specific weapons available through Vanguard quests, as well as weapon foundry gear, and all the weapon foundry gear will each have its own kind of design and playstyle depending on what foundry you choose. So the available foundries are Hake, Omelan, Suros, and Tech Mechanica, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about each of those so you know what to expect. So Hake weapons are more simple, they're more reliable, and they focus a lot on offense. They're typically named after a famous ruler or a warrior followed by a letter. For example, think Aragon F. Omelan weapons focus more on good handling and behavioral perks over stat modification. They're typically black and kind of ergonomic in design. They follow a naming scheme where an abyssal or chthonic entity is followed by the initials of the weapon's class and number. The Suros Foundry gives Guardians the most stat customization, which makes them very flexible for all-around combat situations. They feature curved surfaces and sleek red and white designs, so imagine some Mass Effect weapons if you will. Suros weapons always have Suros in the name, followed by 3 letters and 2 numbers. And lastly, Tex Mechanica specializes in hand cannons, and they are typically evocative in name of the Wild West. Now, in this expansion, you can actually upgrade your weapons through a process called infusion, which basically just boils down to dismantling more powerful weapons to increase the attack value on your equipped weapons. The reason this is kind of cool is because if you have a weapon that you really love the style of, or you love how it looks, or you love the mods you've got on it or something, but it's not as powerful as some of your other weapons, you can make it as powerful as them, allowing you to keep the functionality you love while allowing your weapon to be as powerful as you would like it to be. There are also 2 new heavy weapons, which will be the sword and the railgun, and they are going to be unlocked through a quest, but we don't really know much more about them. In terms of actual just new weapons that are going to be featured, you will have 25 total exotic weapons, and this will include some improved variants of Year 1 exotics. Specifically, there will be 10 improved Year 1 exotic weapons among these 25. In terms of new armor pieces, you've got 27 new exotic armor pieces, plus once again a number of improved Year 1 armor pieces. In case you're wondering what's going on with exotic blueprints, any previously acquired exotic blueprints can be repurchased from terminals at the tower for 1 exotic shard and 2,500 glimmer each. Year 2 exotics can also be repurchased, but this time for 150 legendary marks. And you might be asking, what are legendary marks? Well, Vanguard and Crucible marks have now been combined into legendary marks, which will be an account-wide currency akin to Glimmer. The player can only hold 200 at a time, but there's not a weekly cap set for farming them, so if you're a mad Destiny robot and you like spending hours and 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 hours behind your computer, you can probably get whatever you want within the first few weeks or first few months of this expansion. In terms of crafting materials, hadronic essences, plasteel platings, and sapphire wires have been combined into a single element just called armor materials. Obviously, this is just an attempt to make the game presumably kind of less grindy and also just more intuitive. In inclusion, emblems and shaders are now unlockable items at collection kiosks near Eva Levante. Obtaining an emblem shader will unlock it permanently, and then it can be reacquired an unlimited number of times in the same manner that, say, special items have always been available from Tess Everest once you've unlocked them. Another pretty cool feature of this expansion is that hopefully the loot drop system has been much improved to be more intelligent and will actually take into account previous item drops you've had, which hopefully will kind of override the problem most Destiny players have of, great, I've seen this gun 50 times and the one I really want I have seen no times, despite the fact that their drop chances are apparently equal. Thanks, Activision. Ghost shells, those things that you thought were entirely useless and just served to make your Dinklebot look cool, have actually been modified and now actually provide defense buffs and additional effects such as resource finding abilities to your ghost. Speaking of our cheeky little AI companion, our beloved Dinklebot has been revoiced by Nolan North, the voice actor of Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series. Now, although people were initially very excited about this when it was announced, as most people thought that Peter Dinklage's delivery on the line sounded kind of phoned in and dispassionate, as new side-by-side comparisons of Northbot and Dinklebot have been released, people have actually been saying that they far prefer Dinklebot's lines because it sounds, well, more like an AI would sound. It's been a criticism that North sounds too cheeky and cheerful to be in the world of Destiny, and Dinklebot sounds more appropriately as his character actually would. I'll be doing another video on this and mentioning it in probably a Medley Talks, but I figured it was a good thing to throw in here for now, as most people will view it as one of the most significant changes coming with the Taken King. All lines, that means everything from just the base game Destiny through both of the expansions up until the Taken King, will be being revoiced by Nolan North. And yes, before anybody mentions this, if you do the Red Bull promotion thing where you buy cans of Red Bull, you do get a custom Red Bull themed ghost shell. Fun fact, you also get an experience boost and a new Sparrow, which you can then upgrade to a super fast Sparrow, but I'll talk more about this in another video because I want to keep that out of this one. Look, we don't mention paid promotion content on this channel. Unless I'm doing it, then it's cool. There's also a new item slot for artifacts, which allow Guardians to generate orbs of light in ways other than using supers, and your vault space will have been doubled. Weapons and armor sections will now have 72 spaces each, while your general item spaces will be increased to 36. In terms of new locations in this expansion, you will be fighting on Oryx's Dreadnought, which is going to be orbiting Saturn, and it's also a new patrol location. It's pretty much just the focus of the expansion in general, and you'll also be fighting at Fleet Base Chorus on Phobos, a moon of Mars, which is a new location that's only going to be visited during some story missions, but it'll still be cool because the only way you were able to get to Phobos prior to this expansion was during PvP, so it'll be cool to see more of it. In terms of new PvE content, I already mentioned the new enemy race, the Taken, which is just an amalgamation of every other enemy race that has been corrupted by the darkness. Now, one interesting fact fact about these enemies is they'll all have new abilities designed to counter Guardian abilities, which makes a lot of sense lore-wise since Oryx has created this army specifically to take out the Guardians. There is also going to be a complete revamp of the patrol mode, which will focus mostly on putting these new taken enemies into already currently existing patrols. In addition, you can also join in the Court of Oryx, which is a new player-instigated public event above the Dreadnought, which will have the Guardians fighting randomized enemies as well as some ultra bosses. Now, I mentioned that there are a lot of new story missions for this game. There are a lot. I said more than 8. There have been, in fact, 26 quest titles that people have found for potential new quests for this game. However, only 8 really have been confirmed, and like I said, 3 of those feature the quest that you will need to unlock your new subclass for your main Guardian class. The questing system has also actually been completely retooled, and you will find yourself questing for each subclass as well as many NPC vendors. There will be a quest to earn reputation with Banshee 44. You can do this by equipping experimental weapons, going out into the field and trying them out, and every week a new legendary weapon will arrive on Wednesday with a set of randomized perks. That will be your reward for this. There will also be a new multi-part quest to acquire a new exotic weapon, as well as quests for some older content to add much needed lore to the base game. All of this stuff is super cool. It seems like they're trying to take some of the emphasis off of the grind of the game and put it on maybe more of the story, which I'm totally a fan of. There will also be 4 absolutely new strikes and 3 remix strikes from the base game, which are basically just revamped. These also will feature raid light quote mechanics and multiple different scenarios where you can swap out enemy races for the strike you're doing. The strikes' names are Echo Chamber, Fallen Saber, Shield Brothers, and the Sunless Cell. In addition to the new strikes, strikes will now have unique rewards such as strike-specific armor and weapons, which is aimed to help you prepare more effectively for raids than just hoping to farm something forever and never getting it. The new remixed or revamped strikes are Cerberus, Vey 3, Dust Palace, and the Undying Mind, and the only revamp is really all of these strikes will now feature taken enemies. In terms of new raids for this expansion, we do have one new raid called King's Fall, which will be pitting Guardians against Oryx and the Taken. However, the raid won't be unlocked until September 18th, 2015, which presumably is an attempt to get people to not just blast through the game and then write a review saying, "This is horrible, no in-game content." Of course, how could that happen anyways? It's Destiny, the pinnacle of grindom. In terms of Crucible stuff, there are new Crucible and faction quests. In terms of earning reputation for Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and New Monarchy, players will probably be happy to hear that you no longer have to wear a class item. You can instead just pledge yourself indefinitely to one faction, which will allow you to earn reputation for that faction at the same time as you can earn normal Vanguard and Crucible reputation. Pledging costs 2,500 Glimmer and can be changed once a week. There will also be 5 weekly bounties available, and completing them all will unlock a 6th bounty for a chance to earn a legendary or exotic weapon. There's a new mercy rule that ends matches early if they are extremely unbalanced. For example, if one team leaves in the middle of the match and the other gains a huge lead in points. And there will also be 8 new Crucible maps, as well as 3 new Crucible modes. The maps will be called Bannerfall, the Last City of Earth, the Dungeons, which take place at the Dreadnought on Saturn, the Frontier, which takes place at the City Perimeter of Earth, the Drifter, which takes place at Foundling's Gyre the Reef, Sector 618, which takes place at Cosmodrome Wall Earth, Crossroads, which takes place at the Lost Oasis on Mars, Memento, which takes place in the European Dead Zone, Earth, and Vertigo, which takes place on Caloris Basin, Mercury. In terms of the new Crucible modes, we have Mayhem Clash, Zone Control, and Rift. Mayhem Clash is a variant clash in the Taken King, and the main feature of this will be that abilities recharge significantly faster than normal. Zone Control will feature a variant of the control mode, however the twist this time is that points will only be earned by controlling zones and can't be earned by killing people. Last but not least, Rift is a capture the flag kind of thing where Guardians need to capture a spark and then deliver it into the enemy rift to score points. The spark has a shot clock as well, so if the runner does not get the spark into the enemy rift in time, they will be killed. Points are acquired by doing any of the following: 1. Getting the spark closer to the rift, 2. Delivering the spark into the rift, 3. Backflipping while delivering the spark into the rift, or 4. Killing all nearby enemies once the spark has detonated the rift. So this is pretty cool. Of course, it's always cool to see games actually taking their PvP content seriously. Obviously, that's more likely to happen with Destiny, which is a strongly multiplayer-focused shooter, but after recent World of Warcraft expansions where they were like, you might get some new PvP stuff, but probably not, seeing a multiplayer game actually take its PvP players into account is always good. So that about does it for all the gameplay and story features we know will be coming in The Taken King. Now I am going to go over all the various editions you can buy because there are 5 different editions of this game you can buy, and I'm going to tell you what comes in them and how much they all cost. What I won't be going over will be the exclusive and bonus content in detail. I want to devote a separate video to actually going over the Red Bull quest and all of the exclusive and bonus content because there's quite a lot of it and it's become kind of a recent phenomenon in gaming, and I just want to talk about it a little bit in like a Medley Rants video or something like that. However, I will be going over all of the different editions of the game right now. So you can get the digital download, which is $40, and it's intended for players who have already got Destiny, The Dark Below, and House of Wolves. It includes Year 1 VIP rewards, including an exclusive Sparrow, an exclusive shader, and a Founder's Fortune emblem. If you maybe don't have the Dark Below or the House of Wolves, you can get the Legendary Edition, which can be purchased for a straight up flat $60, and it will include The Taken King, Destiny, the expansion The Dark Below, and the expansion The House of Wolves. If you are a huge Destiny fan and just love the game and want it in your body, you can get the Collector's Edition, which costs $80 and includes The Taken King, Destiny, The Dark Below, House of Wolves, Collector's Edition Steelbook Case, a Weapons Pack, a Collector's Edition Digital Content Pack, which includes 3 class-specific emotes, 3 armor shaders, and 3 exotic class items with XP bonuses, and Cade 6's Intel Cache, which includes a modified Treasure Island book with an intro letter from Cade 6, Cade 6's personal notes and illustrations, collection of relics and artifacts from Cade 6, and a strange coin replica. So obviously that collector's edition featured some physical stuff such as the still bookcase. If you're like me and you're a huge introvert and your entire life is just staying inside and playing video games and sunlight burns your face and your body and you hate it and it makes you shrivel up like some sort of vestigial vampire, you can get the digital collector's edition, which will feature the Taken King, Destiny, The Dark Below, House of Wolves, the Weapons Pack, and the collector's edition digital content, which is the same 3 class specific emotes, 3 armor shaders, and 3 exotic class items with bonuses, but you don't get any of the cool physical stuff. Oh, and it also costs the same amount, a flat $80. So I believe that about does it for everything we know about Destiny. This video ran a little bit longer than my NHL 16 one, to say the least, which makes a lot of sense. Destiny is a little bit more complex, but don't tell any hockey fans I said that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to leave a like, a dislike, a sub, a share, a sub, a favorite, a comment, whatever you feel this video deserves. And thank you all so much for watching. Medley out.